Welcome back to the Wedding Buzz. It's your host, Sydney, and today I am so excited to be here with VINA Co Hair and Makeup. Veronica, welcome to the Wedding Buzz.
Hi.
Thank you for joining me today. I'm so excited to dive in and learn more about your company. So let's dive in. Tell me about your journey. How did VINA Co begin?
So it's kind of a funny story. I just kind of stumbled into it, to be honest. I was always really good at hair and makeup. I always used to do it for my friends, my family. It was like my hobby. I used to do it on the weekends for any special events that people had that I knew. And one day I decided to post an ad on Craigslist offering hair and makeup for weddings. So weddings always drew me in. There's something magical about wedding days, and when somebody wants glam, usually it's for like a special key moment. So that just felt the right start. So this was, mind you, this was 11 years ago. So Craigslist was kind of it at the time. From there, I booked like 3 or 4 weddings, and then it just started like word of mouth. I ended up creating my own little website myself. And then I founded what was called Beauty by VM in 2014. That was like the start of Vina. It was a small group of us. It was just me and 3 other artists that helped me and supported me. I was the one at every single wedding. And then from there, about 5 years later, I decided, hey, let's make the team bigger. Let's expand it a little bit, and we rebranded and evolved into Vina. But my career actually started in finance. I was an investment manager for Morgan Stanley. I have a bachelor's degree in accounting. So it was completely different. This was definitely my creative outlet,
I love
and
that.
how I use that. So it was a big change when I decided to take this on, as less like my full-blown career. So at first it was a hobby, and now here we are, and it's Vina.
And I really love that you pivoted from, the finance over to
It was a very different world, yeah.
I'm sure. But it's like you can people thrive when they're like working in their passion and something that they love, and you can just, tell when people are really dedicated to it. Um, and I like also I got my master's in project management. I was working in the corporate world and was like I had worked for a wedding planner before and I missed it. I felt like it was a great combo of like being creative, but also my business mindset. And um I switched and I'm happy and I love it. And so it's awesome that it sounds like that's what happened kind of for you too of that you're like,
Basically, I was like, "How do I become a full-blown makeup artist all of a sudden?" I just it's interesting, I am very grateful for having the background in finance, so I felt very strong about being a business owner, but the beauty industry was completely new and completely different, and as you know, weddings are a whole other breed. So it was a lot of trial and error and figuring it out. We're in a great place now. I have wonderful mentors and people and vendors that surround me and really, kinda help you and guide you through the process of what this industry really is.
yeah, this industry is definitely a lot to learn. It's a whole different ball game. What makes the wedding beauty like different from other makeup or hairstyling work?
So when it comes to weddings, especially here in Florida, like for me as an artist, I believe that like one of the key things is to focus not only on the client, their desire, their overall look, but also longevity. And I think the longevity part and making things flawless through an entire wedding experience is the harder part, right? Like when you're on set, like as a makeup artist, if you're on set for film, you're there doing the touch-ups, you're there doing everything the whole time. And it's a lot of minimal makeup that can be continually touched up. With weddings, that's usually not the case. You want to start early morning, and this needs to last them throughout the whole day. In Florida, weather, makes it for high pressure on us. So Florida is definitely you want them to survive tears, hugs, dancing, photography, all the things. So it's just an
And I'm like,
elevated. Yeah,
no, no,
go
no.
ahead.
I
So
was
it's
just gonna
just an elevated experience of makeup, I think, and then the timelessness, captured in still full glam, right? Like, I want it to look timeless and soft, but it needs to last all day. So I have like this battle between the 2 usually.
Yeah, no, that makes total sense. I was gonna pop in and just say I was in Utah a few weeks ago, and I was like, "Oh my gosh," like, because you mentioned the Florida humidity, and I was like, "Oh my gosh," like, with no products, my hair is, like, perfect. Like, my makeup's not sweating off of me, like,
Right.
oh, man, the floor you that's a I give props to hair and makeup artists in Florida, like, specifically because it that
Humidity
humidity.
here, and it's like it can be cold outside, but there's still humidity. So, you know, it's still a battle. And then in the summer, imagine. So
And then also, like, I mean, I see it all the time of girls start hair and makeup at, like, 6 in the morning, and I have a bride next week who, her grand exit is at 11:30 PM, and she's scheduled the photo, video, and content creator to stay till after midnight because she wants photos of them, like, going up to the suite and the groom, like, carrying her into the room
the
and
whole thing, yeah.
the whole thing, and I'm like, "It's gonna be adorable," but I'm like, "Girl, your hair and makeup's gonna be 14 hours old at that time."
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
I think
we've
time slot is, like, 10 AM for the bride's hair and makeup, and I'm like, "It's gonna be 14 hours old. I hope it lasts."
I mean, that's the key, right? Like that's my goal usually when creating glam, regardless of how soft or how heavy, like the longevity is usually key. And then making that experience kind of like a smooth process. So I think the energy that we as the artists bring to the table from the beginning to the end is important because we're the beginning of their day, right? So like the bride's starting the day with you, so we want to like set the tone for what her day's gonna be. And I think that's what sets weddings apart from, regular all whatever glam I could do here at the studio.
Yeah, no, that's true. I mean, it is someone's special day. It's not just any hair makeup for a photo shoot. It's their one big
Big
day.
day.
And then, like, the technicality of the longevity, I respect that battle because I love playing with makeup and stuff, but let me tell you, mine does not last 14 hours.
Well, and I
Uh,
don't expect people's regular everyday makeup to last that long, but that's
y
why we're here.
yes, yes. When should a couple start thinking about booking hair and makeup for their wedding day?
So I always recommend at least 9 to 12 months out. Right now, we just opened our books for 2027 and we've already secured dates for 2027. So it's important that when planning, if you want a specific artist, especially if the artist is somebody that's been in this industry a while, they're probably securing people a year in advance. So it's important that if you want that person that you do that. If you're more flex about it, at the most I would say 6 months. Um, we do get inquiries, a couple months ahead and it's hard to squeeze those in.
Yeah. Yeah, I always say to my brides that the wedding planning process, it's like you don't have to make all your final decisions like a year in advance, but you need to get on people's books if you're going to be picky about the vendors that you want to work with, which you should be picky about the vendors that you want to work with.
I agree.
Yeah. Um, we'll leave it at that. Um, so walk me through a bridal beauty timeline. Like from the when do you suggest people do the trial? And then we can talk about like the wedding day execution.
So, like, my process starts with what we call a bridal consultation call, and I do kind of a Zoom call with my brides. We get a lot of out of state brides too, so it's important that I kind of like understand what they want, and then let's say they're not going to be with me, maybe another artist is a better fit. So the call kind of helps me execute who their team will be. And then from there, we tell them it's about 3 to 4 months out that we suggest you have a trial run. That's something we call a bridal preview. You come into the studio for that appointment. We do the preview. You've tested the look, and now we're getting ready for wedding day. We usually send out the bridal timeline to our brides. So their glam timeline, right? Like we send that out usually about a month and a half prior to the wedding day. And then we can kind of look at it together with the planner as well as photographer, make sure that we're all on the same page so that once we arrive on wedding day, everybody's on site and everybody knows exactly what they're going to be doing. We would be following that timeline pretty closely and making sure that morning goes pretty smooth. But it's kind of the process we do, the consultation call, the trial run, timeline, and then we're there for the wedding day.
That makes sense, and it's so helpful to have that, um, like, a rough timeline of the day, like, a month and a half in advance so that they can tell their bridesmaids, like
Correct. So everybody knows, yeah. And then if they wanna tweak things, we have time to make those adjustments and changes.
yeah, that makes sense. And then, the bridal preview, that's so important. I had a bride just last week who didn't wanna do a trial, and what do you guess on the wedding day? She was like, "Oh my gosh, it's not like what I was
Yeah.
thinking."
It's hard when they don't want to do a trial, primarily because you're hoping that my vision aligns with their vision. Sometimes they give us photos, we are provided with, all this information, but it's also the eye of the beholder, right? Like I'm a big believer that like I might see something beautiful in you that you might not see in yourself. So it's important that we're in alignment as to that is, so that it's a smooth process. Because on wedding day, as you know, everything is timing, and the time to sit there and make adjustments over and over again is just not as available. So doing the trial and getting all that out of the way and making sure we're all on the same page so that things can go smoothly on the wedding day is ideal.
Yep. And this bride, like, I mean, she looked beautiful. She just was like, "It's the makeup's so heavy, like, it's not what I was thinking." And I was like,
And a lot of the times that can be the case. I will say like my style is very full, soft glam. So the thing about that is that in photo, it photographs very softly. So people
exactly
aren't
what
aware of how much makeup it actually is. So I have to have yeah, and so brides will book me and I'm like, "Okay, but that's, like, really full," and they don't want that, right? So, in order for me to know that, if you show me a photo and it's something I did, I know what I did, and that's full. So, I don't know if you want full or not unless we have that conversation. So, it is important to have the trial.
yeah. I definitely think that people think that other brides and what they're seeing on Pinterest and such is a lot less makeup than it really is. Same
When the
with
AI
hair.
photos are killing me. We
Even
get a
with,
lot of AI photos now.
hair, everyone has extensions, and then when I tell brides a lot
Yes.
of the time, like, "Hey, talk to them, you might want extensions or something," they're like, "What?" And I'm like, "Everyone you're seeing online, it's extensions."
Yes. Most of the and I will tell this is a disclaimer to all the brides, 90% of brides with their hair down that you're seeing that you love that inspo photo have hair extensions in. And up to, maybe not. But most hair down that you're seeing that Pinterest beautiful hair, and the impact there is the amount of hair, especially when it's like all down. It's what's impactful is the amount of hair that there is.
So full.
Yeah,
I have one bride who has hair, like, down to her butt, it's so, so long, and even she's doing extensions,
correct. For the fullness.
fullness, because she wants, like, the Hollywood glam waves, and her hair is, thinner and finer, and she wants it to look full, so
And with long hair, as the ends tend to be very thin. So you want the fullness, especially with glam waves. With glam waves, I don't. I'm just like you have to you have to use extension.
there's no choice here.
Yeah.
What are the biggest mistakes that you see couples make when planning bridal beauty?
Um. So for me, the biggest mistakes I would say is choosing trends versus like a timeless look. I think that trends will come and go and your photos will be there forever, right? So as much as like we still want to be authentic to like our current time, I think timelessness also there's a blend between what's currently great and also what looks wonderful long term. So I think that is one of the biggest things I would opt not to do. And then not taking into account your vendors. Like as professionals, when it comes to timing, I think we know what we're talking about. We've been doing it for a long time, and a lot of the times they want to rush processes. And there's a reason why there's X amount of time for everything, and why we allot certain times for glam and all that. So I think when things want to be rushed and when they want to push their timelines, that's a mistake that I've seen happen in the past, and then we're rushing or we're, doing things quickly and maybe not as, smooth and beautiful as it could be.
Yeah, no, I agree. I have some clients that, like, question the timeline. They're like, why does hair and makeup have to take that long? Why does family photos have to take that long? Like, why? And it it just does.
For
What it
me, at bare minimum, I can't do a full bride in less than 3 hours. I've literally tried, and I'm like, "It takes me 3 hours. I don't know what to tell you." Like, it takes me 3 hours to do your hair and makeup. I and sometimes more depending on what we're doing with their hair, so
Yeah. I mean, you don't wanna be rushed, you don't wanna be stressed out, you don't wanna be, right up to that crunch time. Actually, my next question was gonna be, like, how can couples coordinate beauty plans with other vendors, like photographers? And I feel like this goes right into it because you really want to be ready before the photographer is there. But I'll let you speak on that. What's your opinion on that?
So for me, I agree with you completely. When I'm doing the bridal consult calls, I do explain this to them like we want to have you done makeup because when they're doing the pajama photos, we don't want to be still working on a bridesmaid while the pajama photos are starting and then that bridesmaid's the only one that whose makeup isn't complete and she has to come back to the chair after that photo.
And
So
she's in the pajama photos with
correct. So
makeup on.
she's in the pajama photos with, like, half her face done, and then, she's gonna come back to us to finish. So that's not the ideal thing when, in our inquiry form, it says, like, ready by time, but then when I do the calls, I do discuss that. Ready by time that we're asking for is when your makeup should be done. It doesn't mean that our artists have packed up and left. It doesn't mean that, I don't know, like, you're dressed already by then? No, like, the ready time for us is when are we completed with your makeup, including, like, that last minute touch up for the people that went ahead. So, I like to do a 30-minute buffer between when I'm done and when photographer arrives. If a photographer's arriving at 1, we wanna be done by 12:30. That way, we're packing up and everything and getting out of the way when the photographer's coming in. And sometimes they want us to do like, those photos where it looks like we're doing makeup, but we're already done. It's easier to just kind of take a brush out and act like we're doing it than to be in the
Exactly,
middle of it. A
exactly.
lot
I
of
mean,
times yeah, go
just
ahead.
like with the bridesmaid and her face half done for the pajama photos, you don't want a getting ready photo with actually half your face done, like, it
Correct. And then, and that's what I mean. Or they're coming in while I'm still working on bride and like half her makeup is done and I don't know if you know this, but the process doesn't always look glam, there's steps that don't look so good, and I'm like, "I don't really want you to take a picture of this right now, this isn't her best look,"
yeah,
so
it's like war paint. It's
yeah, it
the
looks crazy at some point.
it's a
I'm like,
trust
"You gotta
pro
trust the process."
it is a trust the process for sure. Um, but yeah, I agree. I have brides sometimes that are like, "Wait, I want my photographer there early to get getting ready," and I'm like, have them come right as hair makeup's ending, so we'll, like, stage that photo. Sometimes I'll have photographers show up early and do detail photos, like
I
take
was
the
gonna say,
dress, take the
it's
shoes.
perfect if they're showing up while we're finishing and they're doing detail photos. That way, by the time we're done, then they meet the bride and she's just, like, getting out of the chair, and now we're, like, packing up and they're starting. But it's not ideal for them to wanna start taking photos and we're, like, still working on a bridesmaid.
Yeah, no, that makes total sense. Um, so I wanna ask you about, like, your other services. I know that you have a studio. Talk to me about all of your company and your other services.
So, obviously, we focus on weddings. I do have a large team, so there's a team of 10 of us. So we have artists down south. Most of our team is here locally in Palm Beach County, and then we have a couple artists a little further north. So we cover quite of like Central Florida all the way down, and then we'll do travel outside if requested or whatever. So, um, that's all that, right? And then we do also offer like production film work. Next week I'm doing a media like advertising shoot. We've done camera work. The studio here is available, and we do a lot of hair and makeup for special events in here. We get a lot of the galas for like Mar-a-Lago, the Breakers, because it's not far from where our studio is.
Where's
Um,
your studio?
So I'm located right off of Dixie,
Okay.
near Forest Hill.
Okay. Okay.
So we're like on this little strip here and we get some of that stuff come in here. So our girls take care of that here in the studio. And then our studio is pretty cute. So we started to do like a rental of the studio for our brides too for their get ready location. We created a really cute space for photos and stuff. So now if the brides are looking for a get ready space, we do give them the option to rent out the studio.
Wait, I love that because a
Yeah.
lot of times they cram into one tiny hotel room and it's
Correct. It's easier to have, like, more space and, it's very aesthetically pleasing in here. There's a lot of really cute areas for photos, so we've kind of catered that to a very bridal experience in here.
oh, I love that. I love that. I'm gonna keep that in mind for my brides for sure of if they're getting ready in the area. Because I mean, a lot of times people, like, will cram into one little hotel room. There's not enough tables, there's not enough chairs, there's not enough lighting. It's
Yeah,
not aesthetic
and,
for
one of the venues we've noticed, we get a good amount of people in here from is, like, Benvenuto, because you can't get in there till, like, later. Certain venues just don't let you in early enough, so then they're trying to figure out, "Do I get a house? Do I get an Airbnb? Do I this? Do I that?" And then when we give them the option, they seem to like it. So it's easier, parking's fine here, like, so the girls are already here, we have a wash station if we need it, so, um, it's a great little studio and we love it here.
That's awesome, and yeah, exactly what you said, a lot of venues will have a bridal suite, but you can only access it, like, 2 hours prior to the ceremony, which doesn't really help anything.
Right, right.
I mean, it does, but you're not doing hair and makeup.
Correct, and it's fine, you leave here, you go over there, you get ready, you get your photos over there, but at least you've had a space, that makes sense, and really one of the things I would wanna set us apart from, like, a standard salon is the idea that we only provide luxury, hair and makeup services. We don't do color, we do not cut, we don't dive into anything else other than photography, and film, but other than that, we are a bridal team. That's kind of what defines the brand and
Yeah.
the business,
I
yeah.
do find that a lot of that they're kind of 2 different worlds, the cut and color world versus, like, the styling, and so, you found that you like the styling and that's, like, your craft and you specialize in it, and I think that that's amazing. I do have to ask, I ask everyone that comes on the podcast, do you have any wedding day horror stories?
Yes. So I have 2. I was
Brag.
like, "Which ones do I give you?" There's 2, and one of them is lighter, so I'll tell you that one, and gratefully, it got figured out. But we were at a I'm not gonna say which venue, but we were at a venue quite away from civilization, and the bride lived about an hour and a half away from where we were. And when we started the bridal party's glam, everybody realized her dress was missing.
The wedding dress?
The wedding dress. There was no wedding dress. So at that time, they had to send dad to go pick up the dress. But can you imagine? I mean, that was a 3 hour scenario because he had to drive back to the house and then drive back. So all in all, it was a 3 hour situation. But we're grateful that by the time she was finishing with makeup, Um, he was arriving with the dress, but everybody was on pins and needles freaking out a little bit about it because she had everything else but no dress.
So, it's so funny that you say that because I swear to you last week, I went to the hotel that my bride was getting ready at just to pop in, say good morning, check in. I was like, "Everyone good?" And I was like, "Okay, I'm gonna head to the venue and make sure like, get the" it was a brunch wedding, so, like, the timeline was kind of crunched, and so I was like, "Okay, I gotta go to the venue, make sure the florist is there," which they weren't actually. But I said, I was like, "Make sure she brings everything with her." I was like, "Make sh" and I was like, "Shoes, veil, the dress," and one of the bridesmaids was like,
Who's gonna forget the dress,
"Who's
right?
gonna forget your dress?"
Yep, they think they're not, and lo and behold, that's what was missing. I was like, "Wow."
I was like, "You'd be surprised," which, knock on wood, I haven't had a bride forget the dress. I've had to run back to hotels to get shoes and different
Ah,
things for them, but
That one, we were all freaking out a little bit for that. And then the one that freaked me out the most, I had a bride who didn't do a trial. I knew her though, like I'd done her makeup before for other things, but we never did a trial. So, she felt very confident in my skills and all that, which is great. But the hairstyle she wanted, required extensions. So I was like, make sure you get, human hair extensions, this and that. Normally, I have the brides color matched here at the studio during their trial and I order everything. But since she didn't do one, she provided them herself. So the day of I get there, the hair extensions are not human hair. They were synthetic and they were not curled. So you couldn't put heat to them and you can't curl them because they're synthetic. And the look that she wanted needed it needed hair. It needed hair extensions. So then I had to I ended up twisting the hair and hairspraying it so that it looked like it was curled and then putting all her hair on top of it curled so that it looked like it had been curled underneath. But it was terrible. I was freaking out. We couldn't figure out how to curl this hair. We made it happen. It ended up turning out wonderful. But like we were down to the point where we were about to send somebody to go find hair extensions at that moment because we're like, we cannot do anything with this
They
hair. And
sell
then
hair
I was like, you know what? Let me
in
see what this looks like. And I started twisting it. And I'm like, maybe we could just twist it. It'll be fine. Um, so yeah, that was ever since then, I'm very like, I even talk about it on social media all the time. Like, make sure it's human hair because the synthetic hair will not take heat. It just does not like heat.
we're like, "Oh, these are cheaper. They look
I
fine."
was like, oh no. She's like, I thought it was human hair. I was like, no. So that was pretty horrible, but we got through it and it worked out.
Gosh, gosh. It's stressful. That's, like, one thing that, with weddings, it's we have one shot. We have one day, and it's like, I feel like everyone in the wedding industry has to be problem solvers and think fast and, just get it done because we have a set amount of time, and I try to add buffer time in the timeline, and which people always argue with me. They're like,
I
"We don't
know they don't want the buffer time because they want everything. But I'm like, you need trust me because you never know. You
trust
need
me.
the buffer.
Trust me, you need the buffer."
You'd rather not be late. It's better to be early and moving things early than to be, like, stressed out that you didn't get to something on time.
I'm like, worst like, or best case scenario, you have the buffer time and you just sit and relax for 30 minutes or whatever, but, like, you need if you need the buffer time and it's not there, there's
Correct.
not very many options, but, it sounds like you were a problem solver trying to curl that hair without heat. I'm
We figured
impressed.
it out.
I'm impressed. Um, what is one piece of advice that you would like to give our listeners?
Well, from a glam perspective, right, making sure that your team in general, whether it's, us, photography, your planner, that they align with your vision and that, you guys have a good connection. I think that's really important, especially for such a special day, that everybody's kind of meshed well, blends well, that everybody understands the assignment and that they see your vision as a whole. I'm big on really trying to align with my brides and understanding them throughout the whole thing. So I want to know, like, from beginning to end, even though I'm only doing the glam, like I want to see the vision in my mind of your dress, the venue, the flowers, the whole thing, and what you really want that day to look and feel like, so that it's not just your face and your hair. It's a full experience that we're providing and that we can deliver emotionally, physically, mentally throughout the whole thing. I
No,
think
that
that's important, just making sure everybody's good and meshes well as a team.
yeah, no, I agree. All the vendors have to, um, you know, really work together, and bride and groom are the boss for the day, so it's very important that we understand what they want, what's important to them. And I like that you care, that you seem to care about like the full day and more than just like, okay, hair, makeup, bye. Like
Correct, correct.
that
I don't
you,
want it to just be like, because I think that for me, I'm a very visual person, and I think when it comes to, like, artistic abilities, like, I need to see the full like, picture in my mind, and I won't always get to see my brides fully in their dress walking down the aisle. So it's like I need to have that experience in my mind as I'm creating a look or whatever for me to feel like this will work with what she wants.
Yeah, no, I love that. I love that. Um, well, it's been so fun chatting with you. Do you have any other final thoughts or anything that you wanted to chat about? If not, like where can people find you and book you for their big day?
No, thank you so much, Sydney, for having me. I truly love this. This is so much fun, and getting to, you know, talk a little bit more about VINA and Co. and what we do here. Everybody can kind of reach out to us either through Instagram. That's one of our bigger platforms, at VINA and Co. Bridal Beauty, or VinaandCompany.com is our website.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, thank you so much. If you guys are looking for hair and makeup for your big day, reach out to her. And I'm definitely going to keep you in mind for my brides. I really love that you have a space for people to get ready. That's so nice. Well, thank you so much for joining me. This was so fun, and I hope we get to chat soon.
Thank you, Sydney. I'll see you soon.
See you.